that's probably the worst side of LinkedIn for me personally. Is like you see people posting always positive stuff, and like, I mean, it is a promotional tool at the end of the day. That's what it's used for. So it's like when you see that and you're like, oh, like they're my age or younger than me, you're like, what am I doing? Wasting time. And then you like put a ton of pressure on yourself, and it just leads to a lot of like anxiety for like no reason really, because it's just like their success and what they're posting, you don't know if that's the full like picture. And but the thing is, like, I'd say and also people that say this stuff, like, also the problem, because I do post a lot of like good stuff. It's difficult, at least for a lot of people, to share like honest stories around like their journey of entrepreneurship. And so it can be a pretty toxic platform. But I think once you kind of realize that everyone's kind of in the same boat, I guess, like people want to share the good stuff more than the bad stuff. It's just the nature of humans alike, I guess. But even though like it would be better if people share the negative stuff as well, it's just the way it is. But once you kind of realize that, it becomes like a less toxic platform, I guess.
Yeah, I think TikTok, like LinkedIn is the least toxic one out of them all. I've been on TikTok and Instagram. I think TikTok is the worst one. People can just hide on the anonymous names and comment shit on your profile. But on LinkedIn, you can actually, people are less likely to comment stuff like that because you can actually see their job and like where they work, and you could easily just email them with a screenshot. So it's not that it doesn't happen that much. But
yeah, that's true.
I think even if you try to share the downsides, it doesn't work as well, because if you do it, people can mock you. I remember this viral post of like this crying CEO that went like it blew up and everybody was mocking him, and he tried to open up in his own way and it just backfired on him. So It was like, yeah, it was horrible. Like he was crying about something. He had fired a bunch of employees and he felt really bad. Obviously that does lead to some bullying, I guess, because they're like, why are you crying? You literally fired people. But he was trying to just, share his side of the story and what happened. And I was like, well, if they react like this, then no wonder why no one wants to share anything.
So should you be like honest? Like,
yeah, no,
realistically?
The more honest and transparent you are, the better. Like you start attracting the right people for you. Because at the end of the day, you need to, everybody has a different personality and different styles of leading. And the more honest you are about who you are, the better for you at the end. Because you might, like, you start getting leads from clients that you potentially will clash with. But now through publicizing your personality and how you work and your values, etc., the right people will gravitate to you rather than the wrong type.
But as you say, you're opening yourself up for a lot of like scrutiny and abuse and bullying. So it's like,
that's the thing with social media though, like you can either do it or you don't do it.
yeah.
Like I'm not gonna force anyone to like share their personal lives. Like no one needs to do that. You can still be personal with sharing like that you have kids, or that you have a girlfriend, or like that you have mental illness and this is why you're struggling. Like you don't need to do all that to be successful on the platform or like personable. You just need to just be honest about the things that you want to be honest about, regardless of what they are.
So like for you personally, even though you know all these things and you're like saying them, has it still been like a difficult challenge, like overcoming that bad side of things? Because you put yourself out there a lot.
Yeah. One of my posts went viral last week and got abused in the comment sections. Like a guy just left a horrible comment and started a thread. It got like loads of likes, and then this same guy made a mocking post mocking me. And I was kind of upset because I didn't see the problem with it. Apparently for him it was really problematic. And I just had a look at it and I was really upset about it. But I was like, I think that's a whole part of growing. You'll get haters at some point, and I guess that's my first hater, so I think I made it. But even as well, when it comes to the comparison side of things, I compare myself a lot to other agency owners in my space that are doing 2-3 times as much as me. Like they're scaling their agencies, they have like 20 plus employees, and they're like 21 and I'm 25, and I'm like, what am I doing? Am I doing this wrong? Like, is my system not working? Blah blah. And you start to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And Sometimes I gotta remember I'm doing a master's as well. I'm like still trying to figure this out. Like this was like all unintentional. I didn't even know I was going to end up in this route. So have to like remind yourself that you're in your own path for a reason. Like it's your path, not theirs, and everybody has the way of doing things. So yeah.
But even though like those like marketing agencies, they do hire people very quickly. But I've seen they do fire people very quickly as well. But they don't probably post about that.
Right.
That does happen, right?
Yeah, I guess, but you know, you only see the good things.
Yeah,
like, oh, I
that's
just hired 20 people, and like the agency's scaling to like 8 figures a year, a month or whatever, and I'm just like,
But that's the nature of that business model. Is like if you lose one huge client, that you could lose a lot of payroll, right? That's just the nature of like an agency when it comes to selling time for money, right? So yeah, that I've seen that as well, but they don't post about that. That's the interesting
I don't
thing.
think about that. I'm just like cry. I just see a post and it's just like immediately compare myself. But it's the same on Instagram. Like you'll see a pretty girl with like amazing body and you'll compare. So it's just the same thing.
Yeah. So like how do you say like overcome these things?
I think what I've done, and it's worked really well, I've built an amazing community of people and like a network of people that I can now call my friends in the same industry. They're all the same age, like you included. Like I can talk to so many people that have gone through the struggles I'm going through, or like have even gone past them and succeeded. Easily can ask anyone and answer, no problem. And all because you build this community of amazing people. So LinkedIn is bad, but also is really, really good. I think the benefits outweigh whatever negatives they have in the community. I have like 3-4 really close friends now from it that I go to for advice. Like, hey, how do I do this? What do I do here? I feel really bad about this. I'm comparing myself, and they'll just answer. Like, give it to you straight, and I'll be like, okay, just listen, take the advice.
Okay, so yeah, community, and I guess like also realizing that LinkedIn is like some of it is fake, right?
All of social media is fake at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Even like when people post stats, they're fake most of the time. So just remember, like it's our brain just functions in a way that we make the irrational choice first and then the rational choice after. So
just before we like wrap up on the LinkedIn side and go towards like what your agency is doing, I think it's like there's overlap because you're like doing LinkedIn for people. But I guess like what's been the biggest growth in terms of your LinkedIn? Like what have you seen that's like worked immensely well? Because you're 10 months on the platform, you must have experimented with a whole different types of like formats, like messaging, frequencies. Like what have you worked effectively well that people can replicate?
I think the most important part of LinkedIn is defining what your service is, because you'll be surprised. I was so confused about it, and I was like posting content, but it was leading nowhere. After that viral post, I felt like I needed to post things, and I quickly started like trying to copy other creators, which is perfectly fine. Like you can steal people's and then emulate it to you. That's perfectly fine, and I encourage that so much. But I was starting to try and copy the personality, the how they spoke, what they were teaching, because I thought it worked for them, so it must work for me. But then I quickly realized that doesn't work. Like you can't just copy someone's content and expect it to perform the same, because you wouldn't see like that, and people can tell. Like they're very smart. So define what your service is, define your tone of voice, what creator you want to be. Do you want to be serious? Do you want to be like boring? Like do you want to be very tactical?
Do people want to be boring?
Yeah, it works for some people. You'll be surprised. Do you want to, be a storyteller or just be educational? There's so many things to choose from. And the minute you like narrow that down, choose your personality on LinkedIn, what you want to do on it, and where is it leading, the quicker you'll be able to start posting content that gives you the results you also. Just commit to it. Like you need to be consistent with it, because people like you don't post enough, post enough, or like aren't on it enough, or like aren't building a community enough. And it's just, you need to be on there. People come and go all the time. People that I started with 10 months ago aren't there anymore. So it's just you just have to put the time. Like I literally scheduled time on my calendar every day to be on LinkedIn. Because it's become so important to me, and I can see that the return on investment and the time commitment is so worth it.
Got you. That makes a ton of sense. But when people